Hello, my name is Ian Parberry. I'm a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the University of North Texas. I'd like to talk to you about a prototype quest generator based on a structural analysis of quests from 4 massively multiplayer online role-playing games. And you can see the little animation of waves here. This is in memoriam of FTG that used to be held on a boat. So this is work done by John Doran under my direction. John is my PhD student. So we're talking about quests. So what's a quest? A quest is where the player of a role-playing game is challenged to do stuff in return for a reward. Now, dramatic events can be portrayed through the dialogue and actions during a quest. So designers see quests as an exposition mode. Players see it as an entertainment mode, but those goals are entirely consistent with each other. So the idea of getting a quest is a traditional plot device that's been used before in movies, of course, and I'm sure you all recognize this movie. It's a shot from Monty Python's Holy Grail, and as you can see, a non-player character is giving the player, Arthur, a quest. These are, of course, the knights who say "ni." In a role-playing game, the quest is given by a non-player character, in this case, Kaltrunk, who is the little tiny character you can barely see over the head of the player here. And the player is about to receive a quest. No, not to bring a shrubbery, but rather we see, finally you are of age, Randhorn of age, to battle in the name of the Horde, to conquer for the glory of the war chief. Notice things are very dramatic here. Kaltrunk looks you over. You will do nicely. No doubt you wish to find a great dragon or demon, or yada 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 yada. Report to Gonek. He should be able to assign a task better suited to a young warrior. You will find Gonek in the den to the west. So he's given a quest to go someplace, figure out what to do. So what's a procedural quest generator? So that's the white box in the middle. A quest generator should, the kind of quest generator we're talking about, runs on its own. The designer sets some parameters, which can be tweaked from time to time. The quest generator takes some random numbers from a random number generator and generates a quest. The designer may or may not check that quest, so the 2 cyan boxes are the designer. The quest then gets passed to the players. The players then alter the game state. The game state, of course, is input to the quest generator, so the quest generator generates quests that make sense. Now, game state goes along on its own, makes changes regardless from the players coming in and interacting with it. So the players box, you can see we have geeks coming in, and when they're done playing, of course, they are zombie warriors or demon warriors or whatever they happen to be in the game. So we see a quest generator then as something that can run on its own to generate quests in real time in a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. So drilling down into that box that we saw, the game state box. Game state is affected by the following things. So our quest generator, if you like, the quests are indicated by the gray arrow there at the bottom, the cyan box. And the quests have to be consistent with the terrain. The terrain is a place for these quests to happen. You can't be sent someplace to find something in a quest that you can't get to. The non-player characters and the assets, of course, need to be placed according to the terrain, and quests involve those non-player characters. Economics affects what non-player characters there are and what assets are available and what quests should be given. Of course, this is always guided by the storyline. The storyline is affected by the economics and affects the non-player characters and the assets to advance that storyline. So if you like, the non-player characters and the assets are the who and the what of the story. The terrain is the where. The storyline is the when. The quests are the how. The economics are the why. Why do we do anything? To get money. So why procedural quest generation? We want to provide a tool that increases designer creativity. So designers only need to set parameters, and the quest generator can do the job of making sure everything is complete, consistent, and fun. And hopefully that will increase replayability of games. That's the why. So the arrow there over on the left, this way to the fun. We want it to be fun for the player and relieve the designer of the ditch digging work. Over there in the middle we see a designer down in the ditches shoveling mud. We'd rather have them plan, not actually shovel mud. The program could shovel the mud for them. So the burning question, and yeah, a little pun there, question, is procedural quest generation just another hole in the ground, or is it a hole with no bottom? If it's just another hole in the ground, then I'll show you how to dig it. No problem. We can get there. If it's a hole with no bottom, then we're wasting our time. So let's see. Can we prove to you that it really is just another hole? Now, in my lab, we have the term rat hole used as a red flag when students seem to be going down the wrong path. Now, rat holes can lead to a maze of twisty little passages, all alike, and yeah, you know where that comes from. But rat holes can be very attractive. Over on the right, you see 3 pictures there. At the bottom, we see, a maze of rat holes. We don't want students to get lost in there with no objective and no return. What I want to try to get is some structure, an abstraction that we can use to generate procedural quests. Rather than fiddle about with a jumble of bones, and it is tempting to go in there and start fiddling with bones and try to assemble a skeleton, we should start with a backbone and hang things off of that. So that's our aim today, to make a backbone for our quest generator that we can use to experiment and play with other important issues. So let me give you a roadmap for the rest of this talk. The section numbers there refer to the sections in the paper. We'll start off by inferring rules by examining a database of RPG quests to get a rule set. We'll then, just to make sure we're doing it right, use that rule set to analyze an example from the database, just to show you that it can be done. Then we'll construct the quest generator from the rule set. We'll run the procedural quest generator, get a quest, and we'll analyze it according to the rule set and show you that it does indeed make sense. Okay, so here we go. Part 1. Let's infer the rules. So we started with almost 3,000 quests from 4, as I said before, role-playing games: EverQuest, World of Warcraft, Vanguard, Saga of Heroes, and EVE Online. Now, we did this by examining a quest database that was, or several quest databases available online. And one thing geeks know is that, making lists is good. So we used Alakazam, the MMODB quest database, Silky Venom, Throtbot, and the EVE Info Mission database. Those quest descriptions consist of non-player character dialogue, an explanation of the actions, and the reward for completing the quest. So thank you, geeks, for being so OCD that you make these huge databases available to us. So we found that by analyzing those quests, they fall into a set of 9 underlying motivations. I'm talking non-player character motivations. So those non-player characters are giving you the quest because they want to get one of 9 things: knowledge, comfort, reputation, serenity, protection, conquest, wealth, ability, or equipment. Now, analyzing just a small set of those 3,000 quests, about 800 or so, we came up with some statistics. So by knowledge we mean information known to a character; by comfort, physical comfort, etc. So you can see this table in the paper. As I said, we analyzed 800 or so quests and ran some statistics and found, for example, that conquest quests made up about 20%. Comfort quests, though, made up only 1.6%. This is not to say that comfort quests aren't important, but they just didn't come up so much. Not that they're not given often, but they make up a small percentage of the kind of quests that are available out there. We found that each each motivation gave rise to a small number of strategies. Each strategy can be summarized, if you like, by a verb-noun pair. So, for example, kill pests, steal supplies, or rescue NPC. So, for example, here's a table. The knowledge motivation ended up with 4 particular strategies that we used in all of the knowledge quests. So, deliver item for study, or spy, or interview NPC, or use an item in the field. Each of these gave rise to a sequence of actions. So, each strategy had 1 action sequence. So, deliver item for study had 3 actions: get, go to, give. I'll talk more about those actions in half a second. So, for each strategy, there's a short sequence of actions the player must undertake. Each action can be either a simple atomic action, i.e. something the player knows how to do, or a sequence of actions. And so an action can be defined as a sequence of actions. Yeah, that can be expressed as a grammar. Now, a grammar has terminal symbols. Those are what we refer to as atomic actions, something the player knows how to do. Each action has a precondition and a postcondition. The precondition is what you need to have to be able to do it. The postcondition is what condition holds after you've taken the action. So we're going to use the empty action, which we'll call epsilon. That's handy to make the grammar simpler. You add epsilon productions, it makes a grammar in general simpler. Let's look at number 2. The capture action requires the precondition that somebody is there. The postcondition is they are now your prisoner. Okay, cool. So we've got the actions, preconditions, postconditions. The productions then are the ways you can combine these terminals and non-terminals. So for example, let's look at learn, the third group there. Learn could either be epsilon, if you already know the information, or a learn could be go someplace, perform a subquest, and get info from the NPC when you've done the quest. You listen. Or it could be a go someplace, get something, and read it. The information is written on that item. It could be a book, could be a scroll, could be a stone. Learn could also be get, subquest, give, listen. So get something, perform a subquest, give whatever you get at the end of the subquest to an NPC, and return for information. You listen. So each of the things in angle brackets, of course, are things that are defined elsewhere in the grammar. So get is defined, for example. It was the first thing we do in line 9 to learn. Get could be any of the things in lines 10 through 13, etc. So those are the grammar productions. So for example, a quest starts with the non-player character motivation. So a quest becomes, and we've got the colon equals, knowledge or comfort or reputation or serenity or etc. A comfort quest, for example, can be obtain luxuries. Obtain luxuries could be get something, go someplace, and give it to somebody you find there. Okay, we believe that this grammar can express every quest in the database, and yeah, we can check that, no problem. Something that's a little bit controversial, we claim it can be used to generate quests, and we're going to show you proof by example here that it can be done. We also, at least I believe, you can adjust this grammar to make new types of quests. I will say this is a bit pie in the sky. We haven't actually done this yet, and my co-author John thinks this is rubbish, that there is no new type of quest, but I think it can. So let me just leave that as pie in the sky. Alright, verify rules. Let me use that rule set to analyze a quest from our database of RPG quests, the Cure for Lempek Hagren, which is from EverQuest. So the quest begins in Kanos with NPC 0, who asks the player to travel to a remote town and obtain an ingredient needed to cure an ailing NPC named Lempek Hagren. The player is required to travel from Kanos to Rivervale, talk to NPC 1, follow his directions to visit NPC 2 who is injured, and give him bandages in return for honeycombs. Honeycombs get taken to NPC 1 in Rivervale, traded for honey jum. Honey jum is taken back to the originating NPC 0 in Kanos and used to make a curative potion. The player takes the potion to Lempek Hagren, who exchanges a scythe for the potion and is cured. Okay. So the action sequence then looks like this. Go to Rivervale, go to the bandage, gather the bandage, go to NPC2, give them the bandage, yada yada. Okay, all the way down to use potions. So that's the atomic actions that need to take place to achieve this quest. Alright, so atomic actions on the left. If you make a parse tree, those of you who are computer scientists will know what a parse tree is. It's simply a tree constructed using that grammar. Hey, go look it up on Wikipedia. I claim that if we do, say, a pre-order search on this tree, we'll find something interesting. We'll find we visit the leaves in the order that so the leaves represent atomic actions. They're in green here. They represent the order in which we do the things over on the left. So that green box, go to Rivervale, kind of at the top of the tree on the left, that corresponds to the first action up there, top left of the slide. Go to Rivervale. So let's do a tree traversal here. So we start off there. Oh, the tree's kind of bent into shape to make it fit into the paper. But you can see, visit, okay, go to bandage, gather, go to NPC2, give, listen, go to pixies, kill them, take their honeycomb, go to NPC2, get the honey gem, use the potion, and we're done. So yeah, that parse tree, that does capture the quest, but two things to notice. The leaf nodes visited in one of the standard tree traversals, pre-order, in-order, or post-order. Again, go look at Wikipedia if you're not a computer scientist. They give you the order in which atomic actions to be taken, and the internal nodes that you visited in, say, pre-order, give an explanation for how the tasks are begun, for the knowledge you gather along the way, for the planning that you do. Alright, so now, having analyzed those quests and gotten the grammar, we can reverse it and use it to build quests. Hey, that's only programming. So, yeah, let's talk about programming a second. Programming is just a bunch of zeros and ones, and we used to code that up using switches and lights. Then we got this neat thing called assembly code, and we can actually have a human being write something that actually kind of makes sense on a video screen there in the middle. Over on the right, we've got C or C++. We can actually use real programming languages to enter cyberspace, bottom left. Yeah, cool, 3D. But this all boils down to programming, which is a person and their brain and a keyboard. You need skill and intelligence, but that's really, as that picture bottom center shows you, only half the equation. Now, programmers, yeah, some of them are being put out of work by programmers elsewhere in the world will code for food. Well, that's always been true. Give them food, give them coffee, and they'll write zeros and ones for you. So to cut a long story short, it's only programming. And here's John in my lab, crouched over a computer terminal, writing code. Alright, so we ended up with an applet. Using Prolog and Java, in the top white window there you can see kind of a parse tree based on the grammar at the bottom, and a kind of human readable version. It's not quite yet the text that you would give to a player, but it kind of gives you an idea of what that might be, what the player has to do, what they might be told. At the top we have one pull down menu box there. We've selected Serenity as the non-player character motivation. We've got a generate button with a random number generator seed. Set that to 0, you get something totally random, but we want reproducibility here, so we've let the user, for now, nail down the random number generator seed so we can reproduce an interesting quest later. As I said, this is written in Prolog and Java. So why Prolog? Well, short answer, it's not Java. The real answer is I've left out a lot of details here. It's not just a tree, not just a grammar. There's a lot of important information, the stuff that has to be nailed to that backbone. It has to be managed while generating a quest tree. For example, what does the player know? And if the player doesn't know things, how do we tell them? What does the player have? And if they don't have the right stuff, how can we get it to them? Where can we put what the player needs? Are we overusing a particular grammar rule? We don't want to send the player from person to person to person asking the same question. Are the pre and post conditions for the atomic actions consistent with the possible game states at that time? Now, Prolog is a handy language for expressing the kinds of constraints that these questions generate. Now, some people on the web think that Prolog is a hammer we can use for all nails. You can even find web servers in Prolog. We preferred to do our front-end stuff in Java and our back-end stuff in Prolog. So, starting with Prolog, we added the World Wide Web and got a quest generator that runs in an applet. So you can actually, across the web, use our quest generator running on our server in the lab. Alright, so let's generate an example and check it. So here is a randomly generated parse tree. Now I will say that this quest overuses one particular grammatic rule. If you look over on the left, learn Thomas's location, go to Denros, learn Denros's location, go to Angie, learn Angie's location, go to... You're doing a lot of learning and go-toing. We'd want to fix that. Now we have in our generator fixed that little problem. That kind of chain won't happen as often. It might happen occasionally, but not as often as you would maybe think here. So, pre-order traversal of the tree gives you the following. You receive the request from Steve. Steve tells you to spy on a goblin. You need to know where the goblin is. You need to learn where the goblin is. You're told that Thomas has a letter that tells you that. You've got to go to Thomas, but you don't know where he is, etc., etc., etc. Let's not bore you with those details. You can look at the paper if you want a full list of those actions. Now, most importantly, you can try it yourself. If you go to this URL, you can find a link to the quest generator. And try it yourself. Generate some quests, take a look, and see, do they make sense? Now remember, this is just a backbone. There's more stuff that has to be nailed under the rib cage, your pelvis, and all that kind of stuff, which we're working on. Okay, so conclusion of further work with working on this quest generator. We've recently added, when we wrote this paper, it's just single items and single NPCs. We've added gangs of NPCs and bunches of stuff. Needs a dialogue generator. We're kind of working on that a little bit on the side, and of course we've got to playtest and see, are these as good as quests made by a designer? Alright, that's the end of my talk. Let me give you, though, an advertisement for some coming attractions, some things I'm really excited about. Been excited about the elements in games. How do we generate earth, air, fire, and water procedurally using very little CPU, getting it looking and feeling pretty good? So I started with air in 2005, did some more, that was clouds, did some more with their movement in 2006, dealt with the earth element in a paper in the IEEE Transactions on Computational Intelligence and AI in Games in 2010. That is a designer-centric tool you can use to generate terrain with certain constraints. Fire, that's a paper in the main conference in FDG this year. So that's a way to procedurally burn things in real time. And I just had a breakthrough in water with one of my students, Mary Yingst, my research associate, Jennifer Alford, and myself. We started off with some waves over on the top left there that had a foam texture laid on them. We thought about, well, foam's made up of a lot of bubbles, and bubbles pop. Bottom left, we see what those bubbles would look like, just pasted on the screen. We want to animate those in real time. We used a technique from half coding, combined that with a texture, and got the image over on the right, which is that's a pretty good still picture. Looks even more awesome in a movie. So that's coming soon this year. That's where I want to end up. If you want to learn more about me, Google me. Find out. I've got a link to my publications by subject, and I've got lots of papers on procedural content generation, game programming education, dating back to the mid-1990s. Thank you for your attention, and Goodbye.